Good day everyone and welcome to the Sim channel for yet another review of a GT Omega sim rig. This time it's the Titan. We recently took a look at GT Omega's largest rig, the Prime, so don't forget to check that one out if you haven't already. You'll find the link in the description below. Now, the Titan was released sometime in late 2019 and it's one of 4 rigs in GT Omega's current lineup. However, it appears that the Pro is being phased out, so the Titan will ultimately take the middle spot between the Art and the Prime. It'll set you back around €350 for the frame and comes with free shipping. At this price point, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of competition in the market, so it could be quite an interesting option if you're looking in this price range. Quick disclaimer up front. The rig I'm reviewing here is actually a prototype that GT Omega sent me back in early 2019. And while it's not completely identical to what's on sale now, it's fairly close, and I'll point out the differences as we go along. Note that sim rigs like this are sometimes getting smaller revisions after product release, and relevant accessories may become available at a later point. I would try to keep up with the noteworthy changes and add such information to the video description. So if you're viewing this sometime after release, check for updates under the video. And obviously, as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own. Okay, so let me state this outright. To me, the GT Omega Titan is among the prettiest sim rigs out there. It's certainly got the Art and Pro beat, and on purely visual terms, I think it also beats out any aluminum profile rig. The minimalist look in combination with the thick steel tubing and black powder coating makes it quite suitable for a living room setup. It also goes along very well with the Track Racer TV stand that you see here. The chrome feet lift it off the ground a little, and together with the chrome screws add just the right amount of shine to this rig. Another advantage for a living room setup is the small footprint of the Titan. The frame itself is just 125 by 54 centimeters, and it couldn't realistically get much smaller than this. Note that depending on your height and setup, the pedals will most likely stick out of the front end of the frame a little. Moving the rig around is easy, it's pretty lightweight, and the felt-padded feet protect your floor from scratches, so you won't need a floor mat for it. The simple construction from just 2 large pieces, front and rear, plus a handful of smaller pieces like the pedal and shifter mounts just complete the impression that this is a really well-designed rig. It's easy to assemble, easy to move around, and gives you easy access to all the places you need access to. Out of the box, the Titan comes with mounting solutions for a seat, a wheelbase, pedals, and a shifter, which is pretty much the standard you'll get with most rigs. Unfortunately, there are literally no further accessories available at this time. I was told that they are working on a solution that should add compatibility with their keyboard and mouse tray and some other accessories like a handbrake mount, but it looks like we just have to wait for those parts. There is no mounting solution for butt kickers, transducers, or a racing harness available at this time either, so if you want those things on your rig, you'd most likely be looking at a DIY solution for it. Overall then, in terms of accessories, the Titan feels somewhat unfinished, and I'd hope that this would be addressed sooner rather than later. Seats. The Titan comes either as a frame alone or bundled with one of the 3 seat options available, the RS6, RS9 and XLRS. If you get the frame alone, it won't come with a seat slider or mounting brackets for bucket seats, so don't forget about those if you want to mount your own seat to it. Both seat sliders and mounting brackets go for around €30 to €40 on eBay, tuning shops, etc., and shouldn't be very difficult to get a hold of. In the end, since it's designed for standard seat sliders, you can also mount any standard car seat or bucket seat to the Titan. In my setup, I'm using a seat slider I got off of eBay and a bucket seat that I ordered from Merco Seats in Poland a while ago. I already reviewed the seat on this channel, so if you're interested, you'll find the link in the description. For my opinion on the GT Omega seat selection, I've discussed that in my GT Omega Pro Buyer's Guide, also linked in the description. The TLDR is that the GT Omega seats are a fair offer, but there are some alternatives that you might want to check out as well. Adjustability and seating position in the Titan are good. The position of the wheel is fixed except for its height and angle, and you adjust your seat and pedals to match. While the seat is adjusted on the fly with a seat slider, the pedal mount is set up once and then stays fixed in place. Adjusting the wheel's height and angle requires an Allen wrench, but it's a quick and straightforward process. Adjusting the pedals takes slightly more effort, but everything is quite accessible and it shouldn't take too long either. As usual for rigs of this kind, the pedal mount is unfortunately not designed to be used in conjunction with seat sliders, which would provide a much quicker way to adjust the pedal position. In that sense, the rig isn't directed at enthusiasts, but if you insist on it, you can solve this yourself. More on this in a minute. Next, let's talk about the seating position in this rig. For my height, I'm 180 or about 5'11", and for my taste, the seating position is simply spot on. It doesn't provide the same flexibility as aluminum profile rigs, of course, but for what it is, I really wouldn't complain. In my version of this rig though, I already have to max out the position of the pedals, and people significantly taller than me might struggle to get comfortable. That being said, in newer revisions of the Titan, the base plate for the pedal mount has apparently been extended, which should take care of this. So if you're buying this rig new from now on forward, you should be fine. Overall, in dimensions and adjustability, I would rate the Titan a premium consumer grade rig, not a professional grade one. It's not flexible enough to cover every eventuality, but for most body heights and use cases, it'll do a very good job. Let's get to the topic of flex. This topic gets particularly important once you move up to strong direct drive wheels and load cell pedals, but shouldn't be completely neglected with mid-range gear either. In this section, we'll look at the flex related to the steering wheel, the pedals, and the shifter separately. For the record, I've equipped the Titan with a Fanatec DD1, that's a strong 20 Nm direct drive wheelbase, a set of Huizinga Sim Pedals Pro. These are load cell pedals that max out at 50 kg of force at the pedal face, and a Thrustmaster T-LCM shifter. Let's start with the wheel. Pulling and pushing on the wheel vertically causes quite a bit of flex, and I'm not even using that much force here. The same, albeit to a lesser extent, can also be observed when pushing and pulling the wheel toward and away from you. Looking at it from the side, we see that the flex is not originating in any single location, but rather across the entire front section of the rig. However, this is more of a synthetic test, and during driving you won't use a lot of force in those directions. Instead, the wheel's force feedback exerts a torsional force on the rig. And under driving, the flex is actually reasonably well controlled. Over the time that I've had this rig, I've used it with all kinds of sims, and I'm a fan of rather high torque figures, so I'm certainly not going easy on it. By default, I'd set the DD1 up to deliver peak forces between 10 and 40 Nm, and then I'd throw in the occasional flex test where I crank it up all the way for peaks at around 20 Nm. And yet, I never really had any complaints about the flex in the wheel deck when in the car. Sure, you can feel a difference between the Titan and higher grade rigs such as the Prime or other aluminum profile rigs, especially when using high forces as you see here. After all, the Titan does have some flex and the feedback may feel ever so slightly dampened. But in my opinion, the difference is far from dramatic, and even with a maxed out DD1, it's never really an issue. So as far as I'm concerned, the Titan is totally adequate for direct drive wheels, although not a pro-grade solution. The premium consumer grade badge seems to fit here once again. Moving on to the shifter mount. My Thrustmaster T-LCM doesn't require a whole lot of force even at its stiffest settings, but I'm using quite a bit of force here to bang in the gears. As far as I'm concerned, the very small amount of flex that you see here can't really be felt haptically. It is slightly more than on the Prime, but a very good result nonetheless. Finally, the pedal mount. Unfortunately, I have to say that this is the definite weak point of this rig. It's a rather thin, non-reinforced metal plate extending from a double hinge in the front. It appears to be designed for entry-level pedal sets like the G29 pedals or maybe a Thrustmaster T3PA, where the brake pedal takes about as much force as the throttle on the Huizinga Pros that you see here. For those pedal sets, I'd say the mount should work out okay. However, move up to mid-range load cell pedals like the Thrustmaster T-LCM or Fanatec CSL Elite, and the flex will become problematic, especially if you're using stiffer settings on the brakes. Another step up to a Huizinga Pro or Sprint and the flex becomes just absurd. It will transform a very firm brake pedal into a soft one, and under hard braking you push the throttle and clutch pedal quite a bit away from you without even touching them. In my case, I measured the displacement of the throttle at the face of the pedal to be a full 18 mm. Measured at the same height, the brake pedal travel is about 42 mm, so the flex in the base plate adds about another 50% of travel to the pedal and makes it feel at least twice as soft. If I were to defend it, I'd say that the flex is fairly consistent and it doesn't give off any squeaks or rattles. So despite the enormous deflection, you can still technically drive like this, and your lap times may not even suffer all that much. However, for a rig that is, in pricing and all other aspects, a premium consumer grade rig, I don't find this amount of flex acceptable, and I'd really urge GT Omega to address this in an update. Other than the extension of the base plate below it, I'm not currently aware of any revisions to the pedal mount to date, So I kind of expect to see this issue addressed at some point, and if and when I do get an update on this, I will make sure to post it in the description below. Keep an eye on that to stay up to date. Luckily though, you don't necessarily need to wait for GT Omega to address this. If you want this rig and the pedal mount flex is what's keeping you, I would recommend you order a set of aluminum profiles to build your own pedal mount. In the description under this video, you'll find a list of the parts that I use for mine, but you can of course also get creative here and optimize the solution for your pedal set and preferred seating position. With the aluminum profile mount in place then, the flex is reduced by over 90%. The minimal bit of remaining flex originates in the base plate below the pedal mount. Remember that this plate has been extended in newer revisions of the rig, which should help to further reduce the flex. Another advantage of this solution is that this way you can mount a seat slider under the pedals for increased adjustability. Unfortunately, at around €100 give or take for the materials and shipping of my suggested solution, it adds a significant amount of cost with implications for the value proposition of this rig. Let's start this final section with a summary of the pros and cons. The GT Omega Titan looks elegant and very pleasing overall. It is lightweight, making it very easy to move around, and it has a small footprint. These properties make it a pristine solution for a living room setup. It also provides a very good seating position, and the wheel and shifter mount are quick and easy to adjust. It's also suitable for use with direct drive wheels, but may show some flex when using direct drive wheels in high torque settings. The flex in the pedal mount, unfortunately, is outside of the acceptable range for a rig in this class. And at the time of this review, there are no accessories available. At the very least, it's currently lacking a handbrake mounting option and a keyboard and mouse tray. Overall, I'd say that this is a good rig with a few minor and one major flaw. I used this as my main rig for quite a while, and once I had the pedal mount fixed, I really liked it for its great design, excellent seating position, and for just being easy to live with. The smaller amounts of flex in the wheel deck aren't ideal, but not a big problem either, even with a DD1. What's unfortunate is that for beefier pedal sets, an upgrade to the pedal mount is almost a necessity. My solution, as shown in this video, cost me around €75 plus shipping for a total of over €100. Depending on where you order, you may be able to find it for slightly less than that, but it's still an expensive upgrade for a €350 rig. If we add the cost for the pedal mount to the rig, that puts it in one price bracket with the likes of the SimLab GT1 Evo, the Trek Racer RS6, and the Simatic K2R. Rigs that could be considered a step above the Titan. While the GT1 Evo and K2R don't really excel in terms of elegance, at least the GT1 Evo will beat the Titan in terms of stiffness, adjustability, and accessories, while the Trek Racer RS6 provides a similar aesthetic appeal to the Titan. Therefore, my recommendation for the Titan really hinges on the inclusion of a solid pedal mount at its current price point. With the solid solution in place here, I would recommend the Titan as a premium consumer-grade rig without hesitation. I will therefore do my best to keep the video description up to date as soon as I get word about any revision. As it stands, the Titan may still be a good choice for you, just make sure you're aware of what it is and what it isn't. One additional note at the end: unfortunately, Brexit is still causing issues at the EU borders at the time of making this review, and GT Omega is not shipping to the EU for that reason. If you're from the EU and watching this review sometime after Q1 2021, it may be worth checking gtomega.eu to see if things have gone back to normal by now. And that'll be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. If you want to further support this channel and you're looking to buy sim racing gear, check out my affiliate links in the description below. With that said, thank you for spending some time with me today, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one.